Hi, Cuckoo Ms. and Me's. It's Alexis. The fun thing about this video, talking about TAPIF as always, is that I'm actually back in the States. This is a pretty new, recent video based off of some requests I've read in the comments. So I'm back. I've been back. It's August. I've been back since mid-May. It's been really nice to have this summer. I haven't been home at my parents' in New Jersey in like 5 years for more than, a few days. So it's been really awesome and I really liked it. That being said, new things will be changing in like a month, so I'll enjoy the kind of flashback to 2014 or something when I last lived here. That it is. Alright, so I'm going to talk about, I believe it was Alexis who requested it, really just talking about primary school and teaching at primary school. I made a bit of a video on my kind of shocks with primary school, but it was more had to do with administration and just the school system, not actually teaching and stuff. So here I want to talk today about kind of things I noticed, resources that can help you while teaching kids, as well as what I was expected kind of to teach, how I interacted and stuff with my teachers and my directors and whatnot, and just kind of leading off of that. Alright, a little background. I don't have any teaching experience. So I definitely going in had no idea what I was going to really do with these kids, and it was a bit of a learning curve. However, because I was with primary, in a way it was a bit easier because they were so young that we really didn't have to do too much, and my class length times typically weren't that long, so I didn't really need to find too many different activities to fill each class with. Because it could range from like 25 minutes to 40 minutes or so, depending on the class. So especially the younger classes, like it kind of went by in a blink, and I really didn't have to do too many things. Alrighty, first off, I did want to talk about some resources, and things that I used. And one, of course, reach out to people who've done the program before, look at people's primary accounts and stuff like that. Vlogs and blogs and everything. Also, there is a Facebook group. It's called Primary School English Assistant in France. I know a previous assistant, I feel awful, what was her name? She's from DC. She had recommended that one day on something, and that was actually a really great resource, and people shared like Google Docs that you could use for the holidays, like ghost printouts and different things like that. So that was really wonderful, and I definitely consulted that site a few times. Sorry, I'm thinking now. Other resources that I used, because I did a lot of songs and different stuff like that. I use Super Simple Songs. It's like a YouTube account. I use it a lot because I had like Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes, songs about colors, and it was like pink. What here is pink? Blue. What here is blue? Blue, blue. Like, it was all these songs. Like, the kids love songs, especially the young kids. So I really tried to kind of do like every other week. Like every other week I would incorporate songs and stuff like that, just because it did keep them engaged, and especially some of the kids who were like mute. It was really the only time that I saw them get excited about stuff, so that was really cool. And just normal songs. I would say definitely take normal songs that we used growing up in school, like the Hokey Pokey. During holidays and stuff, I showed songs like the Peter Cottontail song for Easter. Maybe Hickory Dickory Dock or something if you're going over time with older kids. Just something to even like have them connect something else with it. And again, taking a music break is never a bad thing. I want to talk a little bit about what levels I was teaching. So I was really teaching, I think, all primary levels for the most part. It was CP, CM, CE, CE2. So I really think I got ages like 6 to 9 or 10 or so. It's funny, I'm awful with children. I never know, like, looking at a kid, I don't know what age they are for the most part, so I think they are all around that age, and that's kind of what I assumed, but that it definitely varied my experiences, because obviously at 6-year-olds I was doing completely different things than with 10-year-olds or something. But that being said, I was surprised and not surprised at the same time, like that the older kids really did love some of the same stuff and in a way could use it better because they're just more cognizant of everything that's going on. So I know even my older kids like really liked the Hokey Pokey. We tried doing that one day. Like they really enjoyed the Hokey Pokey. They really enjoyed Simon Says, Jacadi. So that was kind of good and interesting to know. So just because you can use something with young kids don't like discount it with the older crew. Like certainly you can make it a little bit more difficult, maybe not helping as much and whatnot, but don't write it off just because of that. How I got my ideas. I kind of want to talk about like how I got ideas on what I should do. So there's a thing called the Challenge d'Anglais. I still don't know exactly what it is because it wasn't held until after we had already left, which I thought was an odd thing to do, but it was a kind of an event for this schools to practice their English and I guess showcase their English skills. My one school had it, my other school didn't, but my one school had it and they gave me some sheets about what the Challenge d'Anglais included that year. And if you're interested, feel free to maybe like DM me on my Instagram. I have the link up on my like YouTube page. You can, if you want to DM me, and then we can like exchange. I can email the pages to you if that's something you're interested in. Obviously, I'm assuming it's going to change this year, but it was good. It gave me ideas where I like knew we'd be going over shapes, school supplies, right, left, up, down, like directions, quite a few other things, but it was a good kind of helped me build a roadmap for what I wanted to teach that year. And then I just taught in different ways and more intensely, I guess, for the different age groups and whatnot. I do also want to say, for whoever is watching this, especially even if you're not primary, I would say go prepared or be ready to create a slideshow about you, like an about me slideshow. I just did something in like Google Sheets or whatever it's called, or Google Slides, I think, where I just did a slideshow, like a PowerPoint of me, my pictures of my house, pictures of my school, family. I had lived in right outside of DC for a while, so I did some pictures on DC. I think later on in some of my classes I talked about New York because I know pretty familiar with New York, so I felt comfortable talking about it. But just different images like that, and people want to see and they want to know more about you. So that I think was interesting, the pictures of your school and stuff, especially because especially if you're in the suburbs and stuff, it's so different, I think, there for them, that they're like, what is this? Like, we pulled up my elementary school on Google Maps in one of my classes, and they were all blown away by the fact that there was a forest surrounding it and all that stuff, and probably even parking lots in the size of our cars. Maybe a picture of you next to your car, I'm sure, would even be shocking. Things like that. So they really like to see that, and I have to admit, within the first 2 weeks, I think I did went through an about me in all my classes. So I'd definitely say that would be a good thing to have prepared, because even to maybe when you first go, you might get thrown into a situation, and it'd be nice to have that in case they do expect. My one school, my first week, I feel like they just expected me to kind of shadow and look on, and then other classes expected me to already be involved, and I was like, we didn't talk, I don't know what you want me to do, I haven't met anybody here yet. It was fine. I loved all my schools, but it just, things can be messy from time to time. So I definitely would recommend going in with that. I also would recommend, I had my one directrice, she was great, Virginie she was at my one school. There was two Virginies, and the one was crushed it, killer lady, boss bee. The other woman, not so much. I kind of forgot that she was my directrice because we didn't track, she didn't help at all. The other woman was Delville, I think Virginie Delville. She was great. The other one, no so much. But that was fine. It was fine. I had one really great. My two were pretty active, and then the one, I didn't really need her to be, so it was okay. But she actually asked if I could share ahead of time, what I was doing. So what I ended up doing was I created, a Google, I think I used Google Sheets, and I had different tabs for different grades. And then I said, this is what I'm doing today, and I had review, this is what we're reviewing, learning new, this is what we're learning, and I would include, when we were doing our school supplies, I'd be like, okay, today we're trying to, going to use flashcards to go over stapler, eraser, rubber, paper clip and book or something, and then next week we'll do this. And then I also said, like, this is the activity we'll do to try and reinforce it, and just kind of saying, like, okay, we're going to use slap the board. So I'll put I'll put flashcards, pictures on the board after we've reviewed it a few times, and then we'll have like a game off and do that. Or we can do téléphone arabe, which is this telephone where you like whisper and then people have to go up the board and draw what they heard, which is a really good one. We also did a few things that had to do with putting flashcards. We use flashcards a lot for images, and then putting them around the board, and then I'd say stapler and they have to point over here. I'd say workbook, and they point over there, notebook, point over there. And those are kind of, honestly, I used a lot of the same techniques, especially because a lot of my kids were so young, but they really enjoyed them and it seemed to work. I also, when we did a lot of the body parts, so we did hokey pokey, we did a lot of Simon Says, those types of things, I really feel like worked the best. They really liked the games, and then I got lucky where my schools where we had basically smart boards at every classroom for the most part. So that I don't think is going to be everyone's situation. If you were where I was, that I got really fortunate. We had smart boards and I think all my classrooms but one. That being said, that didn't mean they always worked, or sometimes they were off, and if they were, because some teachers definitely rely on them more than others, or incorporate them at least more than others, and therefore sometimes they were off and they take a long time to turn on, and when I'm not there that long, it was kind of pointless. But what I did try to do, which is why I tried to do like every other week, I tried to do a video, but I had a backup plan in case the systems weren't working and I couldn't use a video. That being said, I do wish I'd brought my like iPad. Funny enough, I don't know if they even had Wi-Fi at my schools, but I wish I had brought my iPad so that I could have brought that and used that as a tool to like show videos and whatnot. That I think is something, if I could do again, really one of the only things, I would have maybe also brought a couple like crayons and maybe a little packet of like markers and a few school supplies actually, so I could make and create things without having to worry about going to the supermarket and finding arts and crafts supplies, because I feel like they're also pretty cheap here. I'm gonna move down because I'm repositioning myself. But yeah, there are a few supplies like that I also wish I had brought with me versus having to buy it there, if you have the suitcase room for it. Certainly they're not like overly expensive or anything. I just like would have been nice if I had a few markers, because like also I spent a few days at home at my parents' house before I left, so I'm like, oh, it could have been useful if I just would have taken the markers we've accumulated over the years and a couple pieces of construction paper and stuff like that, to use with the kids, and so I didn't have to buy things immediately. But I would have liked my iPad as well so I could show videos. I don't know if you're going to get Wi-Fi everywhere, but I really did. And Super Simple Songs, big fan of. I don't know anything about this, but I'm a para this summer right now, and my teachers all use GoNoodle a lot for videos and stuff. I don't know if that's something you can look into. I don't really know what GoNoodle is about, but I feel like I had her teachers mention it before, so maybe it's something looking into. I also went online and look up kind of like search for websites and stuff that I can use, like pamphlets and sheets already created, and there's definitely some ones out there that are free that you don't need to worry about, but feel free to source amongst people already there. I think that's great. Want to talk about IT issues using videos. That is great. Talking a little more about kind of other things to do with kids when it's their holidays and things like that. Now, you can't always exactly celebrate holidays because of the way the vacations break up, but really just, I would say, think back to what you did when you were their age. I know for Thanksgiving we did the turkey hand where we drew it, and then I wrote like I'm thankful for, and then we wrote things on each finger, and that was a really fun activity to do. Maybe like a Valentine's Day, draw a heart, I think something like that. I'm trying to think of what else we did. I think we might have drawn a shamrock, or I think for St. Patrick's Day, because it's so big in the States, even I did a slideshow, and they were really into, especially the older kids, were really into like shamrock shakes and dyed foods. Since America is so processed, I think they were really like thrown and like amused by green milkshakes and green bagels and stuff like that. But yeah, just try to really think of activities that you did when you were young. That's what I would recommend. If you have teacher friends and stuff like that, source it out. But honestly, you could probably even just look and seeing like, Thanksgiving activities to do with children on Pinterest, and that'll give you ideas because they're doing that in the States, and just kind of alter it, simplify it a bit, or just know that you're gonna have to just do more hand holding essentially with it. Because a big thing that I did want to mention is that like all my teachers spoke French and didn't really speak English. I had one teacher who I didn't work with, who I just knew from the lunchroom, the salle des maîtresses. She spoke really great English, and she was the only teacher I knew that really spoke wonderful English. There was another teacher I had who I know spoke it, or at least she alluded to the fact, but she didn't really speak it with me, which was funny. At the beginning it terrified me. In the end I loved it because it was a great way for me to get my French in and for me to expand. By the end, I still didn't feel super confident always sharing my thoughts with them, but I really understood basically everything they were saying to me. In the beginning I definitely sat there and was just like do. Like, everyone was lovely to me. I loved my teachers so much. I loved my teachers. I love my schools, love my kids. I got really lucky. But yeah, there was really not a lot of English. So that was terrifying for me, especially because it had been a long time since I spoke French. So I definitely felt unprepared for the amount of French I dove into. It's embarrassing. But yeah, the amount of French all of a sudden I was just like swimming in was a bit crazy, and I was like, oh my god, no one speaks English. Excuse me, like nobody speaks English. What am I gonna do? So that was a little terrifying, but it actually worked out. It really worked out fine. I don't know how, but they were very nice, very slow and patient with me. My one director did speak a decent amount of English, but he did try to mainly speak French with me, and I did really appreciate that. For the most part, everyone was trying to actually speak French. My previous experience in France had been actually, most French people were like, oh good, I can practice English with you. I've always wanted to. Like, I really want to improve my English. And I was like, oh no, but like, I'm here to improve my French. So it was kind of nice this time around where I felt like, you know, I don't know, basically everyone tried to speak more French to me. Like, no one rarely ever was tempted to communicate with me in English unless I was asking for that or anything. But that was interesting. Everything worked out fine. It is very jarring in general moving there though, because it's so much French so quickly, and you have to have really serious conversations all in French, which is, I wish they would do something different with that about the program, but what a solution would be, I have no idea. It's literally just like, it'd be nice if you didn't have to find a place immediately. It'd be nice if you didn't have to, especially even open a bank account immediately, because when your French is a little rusty and you're trying to open a bank account, it's a little scary to do, and when you're not 100% sure what's happening. I did want to talk a little bit about, kind of expand a bit more on the different classes with my kids and teacher, I guess, influence in every class. So it really, really varied. I had some classes where I did everything. I planned everything. The teachers just sat back and really were there for discipline. Like, I was never left alone with the kids or anything like that. Maybe a teacher might have like stepped out in the hallway once here or there, but I was never like alone. They were always there, even just to kind of act as like a Zacharia, tais-toi, like something like that. They're just chiming in to kind of keep the peace, essentially. And then other times where I was actually probably what the program was super designed for, really an assistant, and being there to reinforce pronunciation and double checking work and stuff like that. And that happened more with the older kids, I want to say. Like, I feel like for the younger kids, the CP, like, the teachers there were much more like, okay, you got it, like, do your thing. They chime in if they wanted me to do anything really different, which wasn't too often. The only person I would say who asked me to change it up a bit was my director, because I taught in one of her, like, I would go to one of her classes, so she gave me some kind of tips, I think, or mainly more just asked for my communication ahead of time, which I respect. I feel like everyone else, all the CPs, they were like, okay, yeah, have at it, you do that, we'll be here in the background. My older kids, the teachers definitely kind of asked more ahead of time, like, okay, what are you doing? Like, I had one teacher actually who gave me the English book that they used, and then she would say ahead of time, like, hey, we're gonna go over this, please be aware, like, and come ready to talk about hair color and like appearance standards and stuff like that. We're gonna talk about appearances. So be ready to do that today and come up with ideas for how to introduce that and how to teach it and how to get them to memorize it with like different activities and stuff. So that was interesting. And then my older kids, which was more like I would talk with a couple of my teachers during lunchtime, and they'd be like, okay, like showing you, here's the plan that we're going to do today, just to give you an idea and a heads up. Here's the different activities, here's the words that we're kind of trying to reinforce, here's the vocab. There was one class that was completely different than all my other classes, and this was my oldest group of kids, and the teacher asked, I guess, and she was the one who had, I think, from what she shared with me, spoke great English, because she had like lived in Ireland for a little bit. She actually asked if I could come and do more of a cultural class, and each week if I could talk about an English-speaking nation and the culture and stuff like that. And it was funny because it was like definitely my least favorite class. Like, part of me thought I would love it, and then that I could actually have more discussions with the kids, because like I love teaching little kids, and I definitely would always choose young kids over like middle school, high school, but I thought it'd be nice to like actually have a more engaging conversation or something like that, or a Discord. But I think they were still too young for that and too shy for that, and it really just ended up me lecturing about culture, and it was kind of like really boring, and I actually had to put probably more work into preparing the class than I did any other class, and it was annoying because I then couldn't use that for any other class. Like, I would, like work on a slideshow for an hour and a half, and research too, because like I don't know a lot about Australia. Like, I was like, I'm not trying to teach them everything, but I'd like to know a little bit going in. So that kind of got annoying because I put a lot of work into it, and I only used it with that class, and I felt like it was underappreciated by the kids at least, and I don't know, maybe by the teacher, I'm not sure. But they didn't really seem to enjoy it. What I did do, I would recommend doing with older kids though, if you are if you have more leeway, I guess, or you're being asked to design more, and if you're saying like, you choose the subject, or you can do this, like, it's up to you. Source the kids' opinions, like what I ended up doing with that class, because I felt like I had done it a few weeks and it wasn't going great, as I handed them scraps of paper, and I was like, here, please write down like what you'd like me to talk about, because then they could write it down. They didn't have to embarrass themselves in front of their other classmates, raise their hand and tell me, and look, I don't know, at least I know if like you like look nerdy or something because you want to learn about Canada or want to learn about New York or something like that. So I gave it to them so they could like secretly then tell me, and then I could talk about it, and that actually worked really well. And it was nice because I was like, okay, like at least now I know that what I share, like, they will want to learn and they will want to know, or at least a kid will want to know. So that was kind of a good thing to talk about. And every now and then, even the younger kids, like during class, would be like, can we do this? And sometimes I'd be like, yeah, like we'll do that activity. Like we can do that. One of the kids I know loved it when we would say we were learning like, I'm trying to think, what were we doing? Maybe like shoe, like head, shoulders, knees and toes, or like shoes, shirt, pants. And she liked it when we did it. Because I get really like dramatic, and not dramatic, but like theatrical sometimes when I teach. And so we did a thing, like I would be like shoes and shirts, and they were like, and shirts, and I was like, and sneakers, and they're like, and sneakers. So they really liked the play on like making noises, essentially, like noises and changing your voice and stuff like that. And so she was like, can we do that? And I was like, oh yeah, great idea. But then other times too, kids are like, can we do Jacques-a-dia-di? And I was like, no, we cannot do Simon Says again, like we just did that. So just knowing you're bound. And honestly, my teachers are great. If I ever needed some reinforcement or suggestions, or if I didn't understand what the kids were asking me, I just would be like, qu'est-ce qu'il a dit? I was like, what did he say? It's funny that some of the teachers say to start school like acting like you don't speak any French, but I day one knew that that was not a possibility because my teachers didn't speak English. So I was like, I can't pretend that I don't know any French when my teachers don't speak English and they can't communicate to me. Like, I think it's a totally different thing at high school level, and I think that's kind of awesome and fun and sneaky if you go in and being like, hi, I'm from like Indiana, I just like always really liked croissants, and so I'm here. And then like the last day you're like whipping out, you know, really great French. So I think that would be cool, but that was not my experience. Anything else I want to say about my teachers? Yeah, I really liked all my schools. I liked my one school a bit more than my other one because they were just a bit more welcoming. My teachers at all the places were really nice, and I had a few favorites at both. I'm saying both because I had 3 schools, but 2 of them were essentially connected by a hallway. Somebody just said it, gee. Cats again. They were connected by like a hallway, and so it felt like the same one. But the one they always felt they felt more welcoming. There was always treats and stuff too. It just felt like more like a family, and the other place felt a bit more just not like everyone there wasn't really as connected or like in sync with each other. Not that it was bad or anything, I just always felt a little bit more comfortable. It was funny where I dreaded going to work every Monday because my schedule was Monday, Tuesday. That was it. I got really, really lucky. My conseiller got me a great schedule with that. It was amazing. And my friend too had the same schedule as me, so that was really cool, where we like knew Mondays and Tuesdays were like off limits, but we had, you know, tutoring and things like that the rest of the week, but different kind of thing, because Monday and Tuesday was like fully blocked off. But yeah, I think I really liked the school. I still dreaded Mondays, but I think it was largely when I talked about it with like my friend McKenna and stuff, and that it was so unknown. Like everything was still, you're doing this job once a week, like that you're still not getting that synced into it. Like in all, I didn't really work there that long in many ways. So I think it was a little bit scary because it felt like it was just kind of unknown. And it freaked me out a bit that way, but you know, oh well. I really did love it in all. I can't think of anything else I wanted to talk about, mainly especially about kind of the different techniques I used. Games, songs, repetition, sing-songy voice. I think my biggest suggestion is if you're teaching younger kids is your energy. Be energetic, be theatrical, don't be afraid to kind of embarrass yourself a little bit, especially because I think the French are a bit more rigid, and not in a bad way, it's just a cultural thing, and I think Americans are a bit more like, lively and jumpy, or at least I am. I know I'm extra giddy and giggly and stuff like that, but I think the kids really did appreciate that, and it was really fun. And especially when you're working with young kids, you want to bring energy, you want to bring a good time, and you are like, you need to mean business, but you are the fun English assistant who gets to come once a week, so you want them to have fun with you, and you want to engage with them. Like I didn't always have great classes with my kids. Sometimes my great class like was having an off day. It happens, but in the end I loved it, and I had an amazing time. If you have any specific questions that I didn't answer about teaching with primary kids, or if you want me to if you want to ask me anything else about specific websites or anything I use, please feel free to message me, or like leave me in the comments, or even message me on Instagram. I don't know how to message on YouTube if that's a possibility. So like the video if it was good. I hope the sound quality is better. My best friend Cassie told me to improve it, and I was like, I think you're right. I wasn't a fan of it either, but hopefully this is a boosted up the quality. I can't talk today. Alright, well, you do. Have a great day.